I'm Paulina Leiser, producer of Focus Today. Thank you for watching this video, and make sure to check our other videos at theDove.us.
Welcome to Focus Today. I'm your host, Perry Atkinson. Wow, what a delight to have with us today Megan Barth. She is the founder and the proprietor of ReaganBaby.com. I want to find out more about that. She's nationally recognized as a political commentator and women's advocate. Perhaps you've caught her on some of the other shows. And we have a lot to talk to her about today. So, Megan, good to see you. Hi, thanks for being with us.
Harry, thanks so much for having me.
Hey, before we get into it, ReaganBaby.com, tell us about it.
Well, I launched my website earlier this year, and I grew up under Reagan. I had an I Heart Reagan bumper sticker on my bedroom door, as one of my girlfriends had reminded me. And I grew up in a family that was a middle-class Midwestern family. And every Sunday after church, we'd get together at my Aunt Nan's house or my grandmother's house. And I was exposed to politics and policy at a very young age. It turned into kind of a crossfire, if you will, around the table with everyone discussing, the years of Carter. I remember the malaise quite well. I didn't really understand what was going on. I was too young. But kids get a sense of what's going on, that your family is struggling, that your neighbors are struggling. There was just a sense of, like I said, malaise. And when Reagan came on the scene and started campaigning, I noticed that everyone would stop and listen. And when they turn off the TV, they had kind of a spring in their step and a hope that I really hadn't sensed or had seen before. And that's kind of the genesis of my start really into politics, or at least the awareness of policy at a very young age. And I put my passion into my writing, into my blog at ReaganBaby.com, and here we are today.
Okay, thank you so much. And by the way, it is ReaganBaby.com. Check it out. We got a lot to talk to you about, and of course the big discussion now is the unprecedented rise and continue high rise of Donald Trump in this race. But coming out of the debate, Fox debate, it appears maybe the war on women accelerated as a result of his comments. What's your take on him?
Well, my take on him, I write about this, especially about the debate on ReaganBaby.com called The Teflon Don Gets a Rise. And Donald Trump is a phenomenon. He is interesting in that he is Teflon. No matter what he says, his poll numbers don't reflect what all the pundits and the people on the Beltway expect his poll numbers to do, which is drop. They keep rising. He has a style, which is his brand. It has been his brand since he has been a businessman and a TV celebrity, which he is direct. He shoots from the cuff. He doesn't mince words. You know, he is the CEO, basically the owner of a global brand and a artful negotiator. He's, like I said, he speaks from the cuff and he does not apologize. He's definitely tapped into the anger of the American voter, specifically when the voters gave the GOP the largest congressional majority since World War II. They did that because they were made promises by the candidates and the GOP, promises like repeal Obamacare, stop executive amnesty, stop the out-of-control spending. And the very first thing the GOP did was hand Obama omnibus in December of last year, which funded and implemented Obamacare. So there we have a strike one. We have a broken promise. Then they don't stop amnesty. They continue to fund this out-of-control government. So the voters were betrayed by the Beltway. His numbers reflect this anger and this Beltway betrayal. People are looking for someone outside of the political class, and you see that in the polling numbers, not only of Trump, you see it in Fiorina, you see it in Cruz, and you see it in Carson. They're all in the top 6 or 7.
All right, you bring up some good things here, because I've always said I think that this whole phenomenon, as you put it with Donald Trump, is a rejection vote of the establishment, especially the Republican establishment and the Beltway, as you put it, and I think you're spot on with that. The question is, can he ride it all the way to the nomination? I guess we'll have to wait and see. Did you happen to catch his interview last night on Sean Hannity?
I sure did, and it's interesting. I was talking to Bellingham, Washington, a radio show with Dylan Honcoop, and I was telling him yesterday morning because he was concerned about the substance behind Trump, and that is a concern. You know, part of a brand, how people attach themselves to someone, whether it be a politician or even a product, is that they have a sense that the good or the person is going to deliver on their promise, and this good or this person has established trust. So one thing that Donald has to do is talk about policy and talk about solutions, specific solutions to illegal immigration, how he's going to make Mexico pay for the wall, healthcare, ISIS, all of these issues that are so incredibly important right now and issues that he has raised. I told yesterday on the radio that he is going to have to talk about specific solutions. And on Hannity, he started to touch on that. He's an interesting candidate in that he doesn't have a policy advisor. He doesn't have a communications advisor. He doesn't have the normal advisement that a political or a politico would normally have. So he is putting together his message related to those solutions and policy, and he did touch that on those on Hannity last night, but he's going to have to, and this is a marathon. You know, this isn't a sprint. He has a long time to unveil his policies. Hillary Clinton has not even detailed how she's going to handle ISIS.
All right, I want to come back to something he said last night, because it plays off what happened during the debate when he took on Megyn Kelly, and he also certainly disrespected Rosie O'Donnell. And it seemed to accelerate the war on women as being criticized as a problem on the right. Then he goes into the interview last night with Sean Hannity, comes to the subject of Planned Parenthood, and there was a huge thing there for me, because what I was sensing he was saying is, man, I'm against abortion, but I'm for Planned Parenthood. Was that an olive branch back to women because of the thing that happened to him on the debate?
Perhaps you could perhaps read that into it. Planned Parenthood, you know, does supposedly provide women's health services outside of abortion, but they certainly should not be funded to $500 billion to perform abortion services. So defunding is definitely on the table, and we're talking about it. We'll have to see where his position really concretely stands. I don't have a sense from that interview with Hannity last night on what exactly, and I don't know if he really understands how many services or lack thereof that is provided. I think the investigations that are ongoing within a handful of states for Planned Parenthood is going to give us a sense of exactly what's going on in that taxpayer-funded organization.
I was surprised that Sean didn't call him on it, but let me ask you this: do you think he has a problem with women? I mean, as far as his comments, I mean, how does he get away with this?
You know, I wrote about this on ReaganBaby.com as far as how women vote, and women vote for a leader they can trust. Women are going to have to be able to trust Donald Trump to deliver on the solutions that he promises. We do vote altruistically on certain issues, but women are the breadwinners of certain families. They're the household managers of certain families, whether they're single or married. We vote also with our pocketbook. We understand that we have $19 trillion of debt that is growing. We see the prices of groceries. We see the prices of gas. We understand what a education costs for our children. These are issues that are of utmost concern for us. I think when I watched the debate, I thought that the first question was excellent because it would separate him from the pack to see where exactly he stands and kind of either confirm or quash the rumors that he would run third party. I did not appreciate the second question. The second question is a war on women narrative. It is a false narrative that was established by the left in order to vilify the right. The left's main concern, of course, is abortion and wedge issues, and they turned that on the right with Mitt Romney, and they will continue to do so. So I understand the tactic of the question. I really didn't understand why, as a second question, we needed to introduce Rosie O'Donnell into the debate. The real war on women, now that they're using war on women as a talking point, whether it's from the right or the left, can be turned back at the left. And the originator of the war on women, who actually had a war room, was Hillary Clinton. Hillary Clinton vilified, publicly humiliated, and disgraced the victims of her husband, and did so purposely and tactfully. So if we're going to treat candidates on an equal playing field, this war on women history that she has and is well documented should be thrown back in Hillary's lap.
Do you think, before I take a quick break, I only got about a minute here before we do you think Trump can be stopped?
I think Trump can be stopped on his own accord, meaning he is going to either trip himself up, whether it's something that he says that he will have to respond for or apologize for, because he's not one to apologize. But the only person that's going to be able to stop Trump is Trump.
Okay, let me take a quick break. We'll be right back. And Megan Barth is with us today. And by the way, it's ReaganBaby.com. Check it out. We'll be right back. Okay, we're delighted to be back with our special guest today, Megan Barth. She is the founder of ReaganBaby.com, a great resource. You may want to check it out in her blogs and her writings. And Megan, you mentioned earlier, and I think you're spot on, that with the rise of Trump, it may be a rejection vote of the establishment, the Beltway, but also rising is Carly Fiorina. You've got Ted Cruz, you've got Marco Rubio. Now, they are part of the Beltway. Then you got Dr. Carson. All of these votes seem to be rising. And I think the reason Cruz and maybe Rubio are in there is because they are fighting against the leadership. So there seems to be something going on here. What do you think of Carly Fiorina?
Carly Fiorina. I wrote about her on ReaganBaby.com in my last post, Why Not Carly? Prior to the debate, I said that she would be probably the dark horse that rises. I have followed Carly since she ran for Senate in California. I used to live in California and voted for Carly. She delivers a strong, impactful message. She also was a CEO, so she is a good negotiator. She understands business. She has a global reach. She has contacts with our Middle Eastern allies. And her debate, she knocked it out of the park. It was very good for her. And the problem with Carly Fiorina prior to the debate, as I mentioned on Reagan Baby, was that her brand, her name was not a nationally recognized name. In California, of course, we all knew her, but she needed to raise awareness. And if she shared the same stage with Trump and the 9 other men, she would have been a shadow. She would not have had the opportunity or the time to really introduce voters to who she is and what she stands for. So she skyrocketed, and now she's, I think, number 5 or 6, depending on the poll. So we'll definitely see her on a national stage in prime time. I like Carly. I haven't really heard anything that she said, even since she campaigned in the Senate, that I necessarily disagree with. I mean, there's certain things, obviously, little things, but foreign policy, to me, has a very strong grasp of it, and she's spot on.
All right, so she most likely will be in the top tier coming up September 16th at the Reagan Library for that debate, sponsored by CNN. It's going to be interesting to see her and Trump on the same stage.
I'm really looking forward to that. I'm really looking forward to that. They're similar in a lot of ways, but no one is like Trump. But they're very they're skilled negotiators. They have a very strong business acumen. They can complement each other in a lot of ways. However, I also think that they're going to butt heads.
Yeah, and it'll be interesting to see how Trump responds to that. Dr. Ben Carson, I've had the opportunity to interview him on several occasions. Fascinating guy. He was being interviewed by CNN a couple of days ago and handled that pressure extremely well. What do you think?
I really just admire Dr. Ben Carson. I have been reading about him, and one thing that really that primetime debate with Fox, once we got past the complete war on women issue, I was really looking for some substance and some substantive questions on where the candidates stand. And I thought there would be a question on Obamacare sent to Dr. Ben Carson, and there wasn't. His tax plan is strong. I like it. And I also was hoping that he would get a question on education, because not many people know that he and his wife run one of the largest educational foundations in the country. So he understands a lot of issues outside of medicine, and he is a brilliant man. He is a soft-spoken man. He is the opposite of Trump, and he talks about wisdom, and there is definitely wisdom missing in D.C.
Okay. I would assume we're going to start seeing some thinning out. I would see the Rand Paul probably will run out of money. I don't see Chris Christie's going to go anywhere. Jim Gilmore, nice guy. I've been with him on many occasions when I was with the RNC, and I can tell you that he just got in it too late. He can't get any traction. At the end of the day, these people need to start raising some serious money to stay alive. So do you think by the end of September 16 we'll see some thinning out?
I think we will. And isn't it surprising that Perry kind of took a dive? We don't talk about Rick Perry anymore. I think there was a lot of stake put into Rick Perry at the beginning of this race. We'll see where he goes. He's having trouble raising money as well. So, money, of course, is the issue. And I think by September 16th, Lindsey Graham, I think, is going to ultimately drop out. I don't know that. I think Lindsey took the stage on the debate because he wanted to inform the American people just how dangerous and serious the Middle East is right now. ISIS is not a JV team. We are electing a commander-in-chief. This issue, foreign policy outside of the economy, are two of the main issues that should be our concern, and obviously our debt.
All right, because Perry, it looks like Jindal, we got Paul, Christie, Gilmore, and others. They're just not going to get the traction right now. They seem like they're fading fast. Let me turn the tables real quick. As of last night, it looks like Hillary's in serious trouble. I mean, hey, the president could pull back the DOJ and the FBI. He's not. It appears to me that this is Obama's chance to turn her light out. Do you think that's happening?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think that's happening. There's no love lost between the Obamas and the Clintons. I think that Hillary was given the SOS job, the Secretary of State job, as kind of an appeasement and an olive branch, if you will. The question I've always asked, and I haven't heard asked, and I would assume that Gowdy might ask this question because he's a tough prosecutor, I like the guy, is if she wasn't using her own private server to receive or transmit classified emails, which we know that she got because of her position, what server was she using?
Yeah, duh.
Could someone please tell me what if she was receiving, she was receiving classified information. Any Secretary of State, hopefully, would receive classified information. So what server was she using? We've already identified now at least 2 emails out of 10 that were the second tier of classification, high security, top secret classification. So she's in violation there. We're receiving more and more emails on Benghazi, which supposedly she already turned over. So this discovery process is still going on. She's supposed to appear one time in October in front of Trey Gowdy and the special committee on Benghazi. So there are a whole host of questions. We've caught her in lies. She has lied to the public, and worse than that, she has put perhaps classified and top secret information on an unsecure server, which could end up and may have ended up in the wrong hands and in our enemies' hands.
Yeah, not to mention these stick drives that maybe even some of her staff member has that has that kind of information on it. So this is really interesting, but the president doesn't seem to have any reservation by letting the Department of Justice and the FBI go after her, which only sets up a Joe Biden draft.
Yeah, I'm not, Bernie is rising. That's not surprising. But the Democrats are in a real pickle. They want to talk about how much turmoil we have going on in the GOP. We've got 17 people that are very diverse, very talented, and have a lot to say. I think they might have 5, 2 with name recognition and who are socialists. They cannot run a socialist under the DNC, or then they basically have lifted up their skirt and exposed themselves of who they are, meaning that the progressive hard left has taken over the DNC, the once party of Kennedy. So they're going to have to look for a moderate Democrat, and that moderate Democrat, I assume, will be Biden, considering he's so quiet. But it definitely will not be Kerry, particularly after Schumer came out against the Iran deal.
Well, this is just fascinating. You're a tremendous resource. I look forward to talking to you a lot.
Well, thank you so much, Perry. This has been a pleasure. It was a nice first chance to talk to you.
I just want our viewers and listeners to check it out, ReaganBaby.com. And you can correspond with Megan there, and we look forward to many more. This is fascinating. We've got a ways to go, but on the other hand, things got to heat up pretty quick. I mean, the primary season is right there at the beginning of the year, so we would have got 4 months for this thing to really kind of heat up.
Yeah, we do, and I'm really looking forward to this, specifically after the, this first debate. I gotta say, I wasn't a huge fan, but 24 million people tuned in, and again, I will give credit to Trump for that. To have 24 million people tune into a presidential debate is unprecedented. We kind of have to ask ourselves, if Trump wasn't in the race, we'll assume that Jeb Bush would be leading, considering he was leading at the time at about number 2 with 15% or so of the vote. He doesn't spark that much excitement. Trump has sparked the excitement of the American voter. This is what the GOP needs. Whether or not he's the nominee, we know that people are paying attention and people are looking for solutions that the current political class and the Washington Beltway is simply not providing.
You're spot on with that. And even though Jeb has $100 million plus, he doesn't seem to be getting the traction. He's obviously representing the establishment, the very thing that people are now rebelling against. What do you think about Jeb? You think he's got a chance?
No. And I say that because I'm looking at the polls. I'm listening. I talk a lot. I talk a lot on radio. I talk a lot on TV. You know, I'm a political hound. No, there's too many players in the mix that aren't Jeb Bush that have a better message than Jeb Bush. I don't think he's a bad guy. I just think that people are tired of legacies. We've had the Clintons. We've had the Bushes. We have $20 trillion in debt. We need somebody to fix what is wrong in D.C., and that's what people are looking for. People are going to vote with their pocketbooks this time around because of Obamacare. And we haven't seen anything yet with Obamacare. Obamacare really kicks in 2016. So when that kicks in 2016, we're going to have a lot more people voting with their pocketbook because their costs are going to skyrocket. And they'll lose their employer insurance, perhaps.
Yeah. Megan, again, you're a delight. Thank you. Look forward to many more times together. And again, ReaganBaby.com. Check it out. Take care and stay on top of it. Look forward to connecting with you soon.
Very good, Perry. Thanks so much for having me.
Thank you. We'll be right back.